here is where the drama starts. Lap 30, 8 laps to go. Sandobi hoping to take advantage of these lapped cars. Poleski goes, dives on the right side. Very aggressive here. This is lap 4. The two Viceroys. Bill Frazier ahead of Matt Poleski. Frazier's off. Frazier hit the grass. You hit that tire wall, your day is done. Well, now it's lap 20. The Williams still trying to get around the Terrell team as he'll go around the lap car and around those at the same time. At the same time, he's got the inside corner. Will he ride the curb? Yes, he will. He will get him on the inside. Vito Maria leading us all into Moss's corner. Look at the beauty as his right side will clip the grass. Oh, a 180, no, a 360. Oh. Who will yield going into this corner? It's really not meant for too wide as it will be Gernald. Gernald will yield. Lots of smoke picking up from that Williams car. He is pushing it to the absolute limit. 26 of 30 now. Only 4 laps to go. He's going to get the run coming out the final corner. He's going to pull up side by side with the leader. It's going to be a drag race to the finish. Who is going to get there first? It's going to be...
The Lotus 79 won the Spanish Grand Prix in 1978 with Andretti at the wheel. However, that race took place at Jarama. While we aren't currently able to recreate that on iRacing, we do have the pleasure of sending the cars around the classic Circuit de Catalunya. Who will be able to recreate Mario's win? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 6 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Stefan Schlacker. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and is using cameras provided by Dougie Beer. Barcelona provides a real challenge to the drivers, especially at the level of Formula One. To learn more about the ins and outs of this place, let's head down to our track guide. Welcome to Circuit de Barcelona. The home of the Spanish Grand Prix for nearly 30 years, it's easy to forget that this is a relatively recently built track in Europe. It's known for its long, sweeping corners and hosts the highest level of open-wheel and motorcycle racing. Placing an emphasis on a good aerodynamic setup with high downforce cars, it's often overlooked that it offers plenty of overtaking for lower-tier racing as well. In fact, most don't take into account that this adaptable track has 5 different layouts to choose from. These range from the nearly 3-mile-long Grand Prix version to the minuscule 1-mile club circuit. Because of the pit straight being the longest acceleration zone, Elf is the most likely spot for drivers to get it past them. After that, your next hope might be into Lacaja, which, depending on which layout you use, could be a sharpened set of 2 turns or one long hairpin with an opening radius. In the early 2000s, a chicane was added close to the end of the lap, but the old Europe car corner can still be run. The Spanish fans have some gorgeous views from the many hills dotted along the track. And with the international fame this place has built over time, it's no wonder they're almost always full come race day. There you see some of the views around here at Barcelona. But Steph, these cars racing around here, they didn't actually race here, but I feel like they kind of fit.
Yeah, most definitely they do fit. It's a really nice track. It has some great flow around these 2.94 miles or 4.73 kilometers. However, these 13 turns are a force to reckon with, especially in the Lotus 79, because most of them are rather slow. You're mostly driving through second, third gear. You're never really going very high on the gears, except for that long front stretch they have here. So these guys most definitely will struggle, especially with the rear tire grip. Having to balance that versus their fast sweeper turn speed, because that really doesn't go too well. Most importantly though, that last corner, don't run too wide, because that's a 1x, but you need to take all that off track, because that long straight is your main passing opportunity.
Now, of course, we have a championship that we are covering here in the Sunday Grand Prix Series, and Gernot Frische has won every round so far, all 5. Nicola Kochi is well behind because of that. You can see Matt Wood still trying to chase him. Matt's usually been quicker than Nicola, but Kochi's been pretty consistent. Bycroft incredibly close back to Matt, and then Robert Plumley is a very distant 5th place. Let's head over to the Teams Championship here. And right now, Elf is leading them, the Tyrrell team, with Ferrari in 2nd place, not very far behind. Lotus giving chase, but they're in a much bigger fight with the Brabham team there in 4th place, only 3 points separating them. And then Wolf Racing has been there or thereabouts, but need to get some better results there between Reed, Banker, and Vascalampi. And of course, let's head to our race details here. And we are in round 6 out of 12, so halfway through the season after today. We have 28 laps, and it is an open setup in this series, so drivers can try to tweak these cars to their liking. That's going to be important today. We'll talk about that a lot. And they have a DQ limit. You can see once they hit 25, they're out of this race. And before they hit that, though, they'll at least get a warning, because the 17 incident marker will send them into the pits for a stop and go. And they have no spare car if they get any sort of damage out there today on this 28th lap race. Steph, we might have a few tired drivers, though. We've had the Daytona 24 taking place on iRacing this weekend, and I know a lot of people have been out there running.
Yeah, most definitely. I think it was something like 12 splits or something like that for the main event. most of them will be tired, but I think some of them have taken down their schedule so that they are ready for this race. And they have to be ready because I already said it, this track is something that you really have to be wary of. A lot of elevation changes, even though it doesn't seem like that. So that offers a lot of blind corners. And especially in the Lotus 79, you have to know where your car is placed.
Right now in qualifying, Tobias Roner was on provisional pole. Matt Wood just took it away. Now, we don't have Gernot Frische here today, as he said he's taking part in the Daytona 24 and isn't really a fan of this track, so he's going to not be here. He's not going to be taking part, and finally somebody else can win here on a Sunday. Toikala right now coming around to try and improve on his 5th place in the qualifying. He's about a second off of Matt Wood, so pretty distant for 5th place.
Yeah, it really is. I don't know. Pretty much everything is really far away. 5th place, 1 second off, and then you have another second to just I think that's to 7th place. That's another second. So only 2 drivers behind Sami Toikala are in that 1 second. So it really is spread far apart already in qualifying.
Sanfilippo also trying to finish his 2nd lap. He sits in 4th. Vascalampi not able to go quicker than Wood as he gets up to 2nd ahead of Roner. Looking to see if any of our other drivers are able or likely to try and challenge. I'm not seeing too many fast drivers that have yet to put a time in. Second one for Sanfilippo is going to be a 1:30.1. That's going to put him up to 2nd place. And Matt Wood on his 2nd lap is a 29.7, 0.3 quicker than Sanfilippo. Matt Wood is on a tear today. He's got an open goal for a potential win.
Well, open goal, but you still have to convert the penalty. First part is already done. The ball has been perfectly hit, but will it fly into the goal? That's the question.
Sergio Fernandez, first time lap for him is a 1:30.1, 3rd place. So I missed Sergio when I was looking through there. Definitely one of the quicker drivers. Of course, we've got Lalorne. He gets ready to set his first timed lap at 35.3, puts him in 23rd. He missed his first lap around. We're getting to the point where drivers need to at least be on that lap, considering there's about a minute 30 left. And I think looks like Nicholas Morelli should be able to get around to get one in because he has yet to set a time, but he won't be able to come around for a second one.
Yeah, he is the next car that is going to finish his lap. In front of him, there's also Johnny Bell sitting in 21st, but he already put in his 2 qualifying laps, so really Morelli will be the first one to drive across the 20 car, the orange 20 car. Let's see what he can do going through the last turn. Doesn't really take a lot of exit curb, which you really have to do to utilize that exit speed. And he puts in a 35.7. That's a last right now.
So Chris Bauman will be the next one across the line. We're running out of time here. Only 40 seconds left. Bauman currently sits in 7th place. He's been running some decent races lately. He's had some good pace. Ooh, he improves on it by quite a margin, a 29.7. That puts him on the front row now. Sergio Fernandez comes around, 29.8. He can't respond to Bauman, but he comes up to 3rd place. Ooh, and Bartosz Nowacki is not able to take another one as he's got his 2 in and he's spun. So he's done. I think that is everybody. Yeah, Nicholas Morelli's not going to be able to come back around, so our grid is set. Let's take a look at the starting grid. It is going to be Matt Wood on the pole with Chris Bauman trying to challenge him. Very close between them, only 0.03 of a second. Sergio Fernandez starting in P3 with Marco Sanfilippo in 4th place. Timo Vascalampi on the inside of row 3. He'll be starting 5th. Tobias Roner gets tumbled down the order as more drivers get their times in, and he winds up 6th place. Sami Toikala will be starting P7. Peter Konietzki will be P8, and Alessandro Parigi in 9th place. Rounding out your top 10, it's Gilles Taux.
Row number 6 is being set by Pablo Lumbreras and Robert Plumley. Timothy Reed, 13th place for him. Bartosz Nowatzki in 14th. Luka Legovic in 15th. Bill Tyler, the 14th car, will be sitting in 16th with Lance Salmon in 17th. Robert Simpkins, 18th to him. And the last row inside the top 20 will be completed by Daniel Baker at Passon Pascal.
Johnny Bell starts 21st. Barry West in the 22nd spot. Remy Lalorne in P23. Last two to get a time in was Rafael Fraga and Nicholas Morelli, 24th and 25th. Adnan Dizdarevich and Bertrand Delory will be starting on the last rows, I guess I should say, and without a starting time. It should be interesting down here to turn 1 as it's a fairly long run there. We don't have the biggest field we've ever seen, but there's certainly some big hitters still up at the front that will be hungry to try and take a win without Freesia here today.
And
for a few to line up.
Sorry, and what I want to say, one thing we know from turn 1 from Formula 1 is that it can cause quite some issues, especially with that switchback into turn 2 and also turn 3. So really look out for that, because that could be a little bit of a tipping point, especially atop the field.
And I think Delory, is he actually here? No, he's not. So that's our grid. Everybody's got their engines revving. Lights are up. Green flag is out as they get off the line. It's a very good start from Matt Wood. Chris Bauman, not so much, already going 3 wide for second place. Marco Sanfilippo inserting himself into there. Everybody trying to position themselves down into the braking for Elf. So far, so good at the front of the field. And towards the back, I'm not seeing anybody getting into one another. I think we're clean through the first 2 turns.
Welcome to the run-up of turn 1, as we had a little 4 wide situation going into turn 1, but that all happens behind Matt Wood, who's already starting to streak away a little bit from Sergio Fernandez.
We had a wreck with Parigi. Alessandro finds himself sent off the track, unfortunately. He got hit from behind. I didn't see who it was, but he gets it going once again.
Oh,
that sends him all the way to the back of the field.
That's another contact. That's 3 cars in that one.
Barry West and Legovic looks like involved in that one, unfortunately. So, messy in the mid-pack here after we get through the first few corners, but up at the front, it's still clean. Matt Wood leading Fernandez, Sanfilippo into 3rd, and then Chris Bauman in P4. Vascalampi is our first decent gap between the cars, back in 5th. Taking a look at Vascalampi's perspective here as he tries to catch back up to Chris Bauman. We head on to the front stretch now. Wood is out of reach of Fernandez as he comes down into Elf, but Fernandez still reeling him in with the slipstream down that front stretch. See if anybody else gives a go. Konecki had a try at Toikala for 6th place, but it didn't quite work. They stay in position. I think Daniel Banker managed to get by Bill Tyler, though.
It's going to be really interesting to see how this race is going to develop, because from pretty much every series that runs here, it's pretty much known that Barcelona does open up a lot of passing opportunities, as Morelli proves me wrong right now, going past Bill Tyler with a mistake from Tyler opening up that gap. And also Dizdarevich tries to go past there, as he's not able to intercept. But because this track is so twisted, it doesn't really open up anything throughout the midsection, and you pretty much only have the first turn as a passing opportunity. Even then, you have a very fast corner leading up to that straight. So these guys really have to work to set up their passes and make them work.
I have to watch that. If anybody starts to get close, certainly going to be a bit of a nail biter, because they're going to be hungry. You can see Dizdarevich trying to make up for his problems there on lap 1, and he's gotten back to 19th, but still chasing on Bill Tyler. And he's staying close. Ooh, sends his nose in down into Bonk Sabadell, and he's going to get it. Meanwhile, we've got our pit reporter, Erka Lindstrom, down in pit lane who's been watching all the action. Urka, I think you caught a little bit more of what happened with that opening accident with Parigi. What went down?
Yeah, Joe. I just saw Parigi and Rafael Fraga. They just contacted again. This was on lap 2 at the first sector. So it looks like this is going to be Parigi's second spin on the race. No major damage, both of those. So I think they just continued racing normally.
Ooh, wow, it is just a horrible day for Parigi. We'll come back to Urka a little later if he notices anything, especially down on pit lane. Steph, you saw Plumley had a problem too, it looks like.
Yeah, overshot turn 1 a little bit, slammed the brakes, didn't completely spin out, but he was a bit 90 degrees to the track. He lost 2 positions because he was fighting for 10th place against Nowatzki. So he did set him back a little bit, but he's still continuing now under pressure from Chilton right behind him. But he's able to withstand that.
Whoa.
Not really, though. He goes really wide through Lakaisha, but able to keep his car together and seems to be able to defend that position.
Oh, I don't know. Toe's looking good around the outside. He somehow finds grip. He's still not done, though. It's 3 right-handers in a row here through Europcar and then New Holland. Finally, he backs out of it. Behind him, that's Robert Simpkins in the number 16 trying to give chase. Obviously gained a lot of ground with all that side-by-side action, but still, the positions stay the same. Plumley 12th, Toe 13th, and Simpkins 14th.
Oh, and Nowatzki right now under pressure by Timothy Reed for that 10th place, going side by side through Elf, and there's a car spun at Renault. Who was that? That's Peter Konisny. That's a lot of damage to him.
Oh, that is no good, and he's into pits because of it. So just a little too hot on the power, it looks like.
Yeah, that car just going over the sausage curb into Elf and then just loses it on that second apex right into the marshal post he went, and yeah, that's all she wrote there. Peter Konisny had to retire at that car.
So we come back live here watching one of our Tyrrell cars. So currently our leader, Matt Wood, being chased by Sergio Fernandez. They're starting to gap San Filippo. It's about a second there down to 4th place. Fernandez trying to do what he can to keep Wood under pressure. He's still got a lot of laps to do so. Let's head back to that 12th place battle we were watching before between Toe and Simpkins. Because Simpkins is very much keeping Toe in check as they come onto the front stretch. Ooh, that was a horrible exit out of New Holland, though, for Simpkins. And there goes any opportunity down into Elf. Quick in a straight line, though. He gained a lot of that right back.
Yeah.
Whoa, sorry. Took a little look there into Renault, and well, there just wasn't any space as Gilles cut him off. Sorry, go ahead, Steph.
I just want to say, Reed doesn't seem like he's very good on that slow turns where Simpkins really is way faster than him, but through the faster turns, Tor is able to keep Simpkins in check and actually drive a little bit away from him. So a little bit of an interesting battle because Simpkins has to get past right now here through this infield. Otherwise, Tor will just continue to be ahead and continue to hold him up.
And they're being joined by Daniel Banker. That's the number 13 behind them. He actually started this race in 19th position. He's up to P14, and well, it looks like he's got some good pace compared to what his qualifying showed as he pokes his nose out on Simpkins, but then decides better of it. Out of Lakaija, the track switches back. If Simpkins is quick on the straight, where's Banker finding his speed? Let's watch this. See if Simpkins starts to pull away after they come out of New Holland here as we ride on board with Banker.
Up ahead, actually, Joe. Plum is able to get now to the inside of Nowatzki into Elf and tries to finally take away the 10th place, but once again on the apex, he's not able to do anything against Nowatzki on the outside.
He stays with him, tries to withstand the wake of the car ahead. And as they come out of Renault, sometimes passing opportunities here into Repsol. Not quite close enough for that this time. Bartos just making sure that Plumley is kept at arm's length, while Plumley tries to keep his options open. Both of them wide at the apex down through Seat, though.
They have to be careful, though, because Gilles Tall, he is coming up to those two really fast. And if they fight a little bit too much, Tall will be right back with them. And we're seeing that Tall is really fast down the front stretch.
And they all spread apart for just a moment here on the run down into Lakaja. This is one of the more optimal places to try and attempt to pass, although it's the historic course, so it's a much more gradual turn than what the modern F1 cars run. And now they're getting close to that front stretch. This is where Plumley wants to be, right underneath Bartos. But Gilles Taupe, who's quick in a straight line, could be a serious threat here. Let's see what he does. Taupe starts to fall back. Plumley reels in Novaki. But as they get to Elf, just nobody really in a good position. Up at the front, I've noticed that Fernandez has closed in on Wood by about 0.2. It's now 0.3 of a second between our leaders. They come through Worth down towards Campsa. Sergio is certainly looking good as the race goes on here, Steph. I wonder if his setup is a little bit better once it kind of gets the heat into things.
I wouldn't be surprised if Wood opted for a little bit of a hotter setup. So those 28 degrees Celsius on the track would most definitely hurt him. But also seems like the lines that Matt Wood has started to take doesn't really favor the way that he's racing right now, because he has to defend and he always takes a little bit of a later apex through those long sweeping turns like Seat. So yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see what happens between those two, but Fernandez right now, as I said, really looks strong. It really looks to be able to go faster right now than Matt Wood.
Let's head back to Gilles Taupe. He just made a magnificent pass. We need a replay of this. You can see he's already passed Plumley and into 11th place, nearly making wheel-to-wheel contact here. We're still live. This happened out in Banque Sabadell. Oh, and it looks like they're going to get a pass back before we can get to that replay. Plumley just takes the position easily. Look at that. All the way through. Lakaja holds with it. Oh, I don't know how they didn't touch through there.
So, with what we have just seen there between Tall and Plumley, we can pretty much say that Tall is running a setup with, let's say, a lot of downforce, because he was just standing still there down the front stretch compared to Plumley. So, yeah, I'm not even sure if Tall would ever be able to defend his position if he makes another pass at that late. So, if Tall wants to get past Plumley, he most definitely has to do it prior to Seat or in Seat, and then run away through the second and third part of this track, because on the front stretch, he is a sitting duck.
Certainly seems to be the case. Riding on board here with him. And wow, fastest laps are being set constantly up at the front of the field. Fernandez is getting dangerously close as well to Matt Wood. He actually took a look down into Elf. You can see how tight that gap has gotten. Both of them swinging wide out of Renault, where Fernandez is struggling to hold on to the back through the wake of the car ahead, buffeting his front wing. Falls back to about 0.3 of a second now, but every time down the front stretch, he's creeping closer and closer. Out through Worth once again. Fernandez as well, maybe set up with a slightly different downforce package on his car, just something different through the corners compared to Matt Wood. closes in once again by the time they reach Lakaja. This is where he continues to threaten here through Europe car. This is going to be critical out of New Holland. How close can he stay? Just can't hold on to the car, and he starts to drop back. This is still looking pretty good. The number one could be under threat down into the braking. Is Fernandez going to be eager? Shows him in his mirrors, then comes back to the racing line. I think we might have a change for position for P10 though. Looks like Novaki is going to be under threat from Plumley. Plumley's got a fantastic run down the front stretch. Robert takes it to the inside. No defense from Bartos, interestingly. They start to stall out as they have even speed into the braking zone, but Robert with the inside easily moves himself into the top 10.
Yeah, great setup move there by Plumley through that last turn to make himself go to the right side very early down the straight, and obviously Nowatzki nothing against that. But the most interesting thing to see there was Shiltall right behind him, just dropping like 10 car lengths to the two guys ahead of him on that front stretch. So yeah, Shiltall most definitely with a little bit of a wrong setup here right now in this race. Still continuing being led by Matt Wood ahead of Sergio Fernandez.
I mean, it was certainly the right one in terms of qualifying for Gilto, because he put himself in 10th place, but he's been falling back here. Oh, he's looking very good to maybe try and get the pass done out of Kampsa. Novaki's going to cover the inside. Looks to go around the outside as he tries to find the grip way out in the gray stuff. I don't know how he's keeping that car stuck to the road. That's going to switch to the inside here through Bonk Sabadell. Novaki has no answer, lets him through, but as we've seen here, and as you've been pointing out, Steph, he could find himself repassed easily on the front stretch. Let's watch.
Not with the bad run Nowatzki had through that last turn. I think he's too far away. I mean, he has the draft, so let's see what actually happens. Look at how much he's closing in already, about 10, 15 kilometers faster than Tor, but he's not able to get up to behind him because of that extremely bad run he had through the last turn.
Behind them, you can see as we look off the back, Parigi battling with Simpkins. He might be able to take it. Oh, no, Simpkins is going to fend him off. Parigi's trying to come back through. He's managed to get up to 14th, which is honestly pretty impressive considering how far down he fell. Defensive move there from Simpkins into Seat. Parigi looking to set him up. Cloud covers really cooled things down here. It's 81 degrees Fahrenheit now. A little bit windy though today. 12-mile-per-hour winds have been blowing around. Don't think it's changing direction too much though, so at least it seems consistent. Look to the inside there from Parigi. He might have the apex. He's given the apex by Simpkins. Robert knows he's going to get the switch back here as they come into Bonk Sabadell. Shallow entry to the corner. He's a little slow down there to the inside. Too slow because there goes Alessandro. The number 17 gets himself into 13th position.
And meanwhile that was going on, we had a little bit of a look into Repsol by Sergio Fernandez on Matt Wood. Matt Wood was able to cover it off, so Matt Wood still in first place ahead of Sergio Fernandez.
Ooh, man, he's starting to try some more unorthodox spots. See if he can get something in there. Down through Kampsa. Ooh, this is looking good. Fernandez gets a great run out of there. Wood stays to the inside, covers him all the way off. He's very shallow into the corner, around the outside, deep into it. Fernandez is going to give himself the inside for the next one. The long right-hander climbing uphill, and we might have a new leader, Sergio Fernandez, up to the top spot.
Matt Wood fell for the trap there. You really don't want to cover off the inside of Lakaisha, the long Lakaisha that is, because you really put yourself into a troubling spot, because the next one is a right-hander, and Sergio Fernandez most definitely did find the grip quite easily on the outside, and thus was able to drive the faster line.
And that's Rafael Fraga who gets out of the way, lets them both lap. That worked out perfectly for Fernandez. He pulled a slipstream off of Rafael, and that helped him stay away from Matt Wood down the front stretch. So Matt had no response. Despite Gernot not being here today, Matt still might find himself winless halfway through the season. Got a nice little battle back here as well, Steph, for 14th.
Yeah, that one's between Robert Simpkins and Daniel Baker. After getting overtaken by Parisi, he really did drop off quite a bit of him, and now finds himself under trouble of defending that 14th position against Baker, but Baker runs into the limiter quite early down the straight, and thus not able to get anything into Alf.
So Simpkins has been seemingly falling backwards, but he did grid in 18th, remember. He's still in 14th, so he's a net gain at the moment. Honestly, one of the drivers with the biggest gains didn't qualify, so a bit of a faux hard charger. Dizderevich is currently up to 16th, I'm seeing.
Yeah, we have a few big chargers in this field. All of them have done 4. Actually, no, Nicolas Morelli is the true hard charger of this race. He started in 25th, did qualify, and he's right now in 20th position, trying to take away 19th from Lance Simon.
We're right on board with Morelli now, looking ahead at Lance as they swing through Worth.
Oh, and while we were saying that, Simpkins actually did lose the position to
Banker.
Yeah. That was through Seat with a mistake from Simpkins.
Yeah, let's take a look at that. It's about 60 seconds ago. Here it is right here.
It's an interesting mistake from Simpkins. He just continues to roll out wide. And with that opens the door to Banker, and Banker says, "Thank you very much." The Midwestern goes past into 14th.
Sometimes you just got to take those opportunities when they come. Banker looking a little better here in the race than he did in warm-up. We were watching him struggle a bit in places out here at Barcelona, but I guess he figured out all the things he shouldn't do through there, because he's doing all the right things currently. And we're halfway through the race.
Halfway through the race, let's go halfway up the field, because Parisi versus Nowatzki, that's for 12th place, which would be smack middle of this field, with 24 cars still continuing to circulate around this Barcelonian track.
Yep. Currently Bartos leading Alessandro for that 12th position. Oh, and I think Robert Simpkins had a wreck just now. This was coming out of Worth. Single car incident, number 16, maybe a little too greedy on the power.
That actually already starts into the corner. You're gonna see it there. He just got a little bit loose on the downshift, couldn't really recover from that, and around he goes. I don't think he actually did hit the wall, so very lucky for him.
Yeah, there you see from on board. Oop. Yeah, I think he managed to just stay out of it. Stopped at inches to spare before his wing went into the tires. And he keeps it going, but Simpkins falls to 15th because of that. Which, actually, no, that wasn't a lost spot at all. He stays P15. Dizderevich wasn't close enough. If anything, it put Dizderevich now within reach of trying to attack him. There he's the yellow car you can see just behind. Let's leave that for a bit so that Adnan can maybe try and gain a little more, because it's a closer battle between Bartos and Alessandro.
Yeah, Alessandro still continues to harass that rear wing, but right now doesn't really get any opportunities given from Bartos. So good defensive drive from him still. Just the question is, how long can he withstand the pressure of Parisi, who still tries to recover from his spin. Right now, he is about 4 positions down from his 19th place starting position.
You know, that's a good point, Steph. I feel like we often don't give enough credit to the drivers who are leading in these situations, because often, unless they're really under attack, we don't talk about their defense and the way that they're driving. But Bartow's doing great here about, like you said, withstanding the pressure and dealing with a car that's this close behind and keeping them behind.
Yeah, normally defending isn't the hardest part, but Parisi, you can see how fast he is through those last two turns, really under that rear wing now. Let's see if he's able to get out of it, but look at that speed, really same on that top speed, and now he goes out of the draft and actually loses top speed, but he's given the apex. Very interesting, Nowatzki gives him the apex, and yeah, with that, Parisi is passed.
Yeah, I think the 27 knew that he's quicker, probably realized that he was a bit out of position, so didn't want to fight too hard, and Parisi now up to P12 with that move. He started in 9th, so he's not quite there yet, back to where he wants to be at the very least. And he's got a ways to go to get up to Gilto, who's in 11th, because it's about 7 seconds to the next car in line. Let's head to our leaders, because we haven't really talked about it since the pass was made, but Wood has fallen off. It's about 1.5 seconds between himself and Fernandez. Small gains from Sergio, but the number 3 is starting to gap Matt Wood and make sure that he has no chance to respond here in the latter stages of this race.
Yeah, in the top 5, Matt Wood right now is actually the slowest car by about nearly 2/10 to the other guys. Chris Baumann is actually the fastest car right now with a 30.707 in his last lap, 2/10 faster than anyone else right now inside the top 5. So Baumann right now on the move, obviously a little bit aided by the draft of San Filippo, who is still in 3rd place.
Let's stay on this battle, but real quick, I want to check in since we don't have any immediate action with Urka Lindstrom. Urka, I seem to see that we got a few names grayed out. Who all's left this race? Have you been watching that? I think we've had a couple that have come and visit you in the pits, it seems.
Yeah, there was Barry West. He had some repairments into the pits. Also Johnny Bell. Remy Lelorn. He's not continuing racing. He's been in the pits for a long time. But yeah, so far, so not so many like damage or contacts during the race.
Yeah, glad to see that things have stayed pretty clean. Still have 24 runners right now out of our 27 starters, 26 starters we should say, since Bertrand did not take part on the grid. Stayed with this action between Baumann and San Filippo. San Filippo moved himself up since 4th place at the very start, and unfortunately for Baumann, who was on the front row, his horrible start really kind of set the tone here, Steph. He's fallen back to 4th and hasn't been able to do anything about it.
No, really, that is the biggest question right now. What is up with Chris Baumann in that first part of his race? Because he really did drop off quite a bit. And now he is slowly starting to get that back, kind of putting on a Maverick Vinales sort of racing style right now, where he always comes in late in the race. But is that really right now good enough that he's putting on pace-wise to get back up into the podium spots, or even trying to challenge Matt Wood for that 2nd place?
Certainly not close enough here into Lakaja. Oh, and that was San Filippo going way wide down into that corner. Almost slid all the way out into the grass. Marco himself has got to be careful that he doesn't succumb to the mental aspect of Baumann getting bigger in his mirrors. He's got a fork and knife on his rear wing, but certainly doesn't want to be feasted upon by Chris Baumann here anytime soon. Number 5, just about 0.6 of a second behind. Let's head back to Gilto. Gilto and Robert Plumley in a nice little fight for 10th position. Currently ride on board with the French driver. Plumley hailing from the UK and I. Might be a little bit personal here between these two. Toe just, we keep talking about it, but Toe just does not have anything down the front stretch to try and compete.
Yeah, even with the draft, he was 10 kilometers per hour slower down the straight than Robert Plumley. Plumley getting a little bit held up now by a lapped car. That was Rafael Fraga. But yeah, Tor just, I don't know. I would honestly say he has the wrong setup here. And I don't know if he can really stay ahead of Plumley as he now goes through the inside at Seat with a mistake from Plumley. Is he actually able to keep it together? Now going through weird, still side by side. Robert Plumley around the outside defense, his 10th place.
Sadly didn't get to see it on screen, but you can see the results there. Let's take a look at the replay. Give this pass some credit. Yeah, wow, that was aggressive down to the inside. Just inserted himself in there. Wasn't taking no for an answer. And eventually got it done. Or didn't get it done, rather.
And once again, they are on that front stretch with lap 19 out of 28 completed. So only 9 more laps to go for these two guys. And once again, Chiltor just loses so much speed down the front stretch that he always has to fight back through the first few corners of this track to really be able once again to attack Plumley for that 10th spot.
We got a nice 3-person battle for 17th. Legovic is currently trying to hold off Pascal and Morelli. In fact, I think very slow in the straight line for Luca. He is an absolute sitting duck. Masson manages to get to the inside, but he chops off at the apex to make sure Morelli doesn't repeat the same maneuver. Looks to the inside. Oh, and he comes together. Spins him around. And Morelli gets hit, and he flies into the barrier out of the course. Oh, that went bad in a hurry. Just can't believe how quickly that unfolded. And poor Nicholas was doing his best to try and get out of the way of the incident. Clipped the wheel just wrong. That sent him into the air. So, with 8 laps to go, that's our latest DNF, pair of DNFs. Pascal also took a tow and has called it a day. Legovic is the only one to keep going. Let's head back up to the top. Sergio Fernandez is now 2 seconds ahead of Matt Wood. Matt Wood has kept San Filippo well behind him. It's about 4.5 there to the third place driver. Chris Baumann, though, has not been able to do anything with Marco. We saw him catch him and get within a second, but it's just stalled out there.
I mean, that was a little bit down to San Filippo putting in the fastest lap of the race. Actually, no, the second fastest lap of the race with a 30.494, which was about 5/10 faster than Chris Baumann. So yeah, San Filippo finding the hammer again and really putting it down. So yeah, if it continues like this, San Filippo might have that third spot still in his hands once we finish this race. But we know that Chris Baumann really has something to offer in those last 5 laps if he has someone in front of him.
Let's continue to watch this battle behind them. This is Legovic, San Filippo, and Legovic is a lap down. This is San Filippo and Baumann. Lance Simon trying to give chase on Legovic, though I think Luca just recently got by him trying to get that spot back. We're down to, it looks like 16 cars left on the lead lap, I believe.
I think you are right with 16. Simpkins being the last one to be still on the lead lap.
Right in on board with Bauman there. He went awful wide coming off of New Holland. Think he just barely got a couple wheels into the dirt. Didn't hurt him too bad, but also didn't help him, certainly. Six laps to go now. And as Barcelona is wont to do, the drivers are spreading out a bit, getting each other space and finding it tough to get opportunities to pass. We've been watching Plumlee in tow. This has got to be a really frustrating race for Gilles with this setup decision that he made. In fact, he had a horrible exit coming out of New Holland this time. So not only is he not going to get much of the draft, he's going to fall back with his lack of top speed. Rose all the way up to 0.8 of a second by the time they hit the brakes here for Elf.
Yeah, and the way this battle is continuing as of, it's not really...
We had an issue with Roner. Sorry, we had a spin for the number 10 car. And this happened into Worth.
Wirth strikes again with another spin for Tobias Röner this time. Just himself, a little spin there. Nothing really happening to him except for some tire wears.
That happened before he even turned the car in, it looked like. Just a full 360. Gets it going. Stays in 7th. Doesn't lose a spot. Oh, and Bauman almost got Sanfilippo just now. He was side by side down into Elf. You called it, Steph. Late in the race here, Bauman suddenly comes alive. Let's take a look at that since it looks like he's backed off slightly here. Manages to get fully alongside. Oh, they almost banged wheels into there. Looking a little bit like Senna versus Mansell at this very track. As we come back live, Bauman still staying close. Car behind them is Robert Simpkins. That's a lap down car, so that's not for position.
It's really interesting to watch Sanfilippo take Lakaisha, because every time he goes really wide, really sends it into that apex and just drives the widest line of anyone, and it doesn't seem to really hurt him. Bauman isn't able to gain anything from that, so yeah, just do what works for you, I guess, with Sanfilippo continuing to send it really deep into Lakaisha and somehow makes it work for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's kept him third position so far. This podium's still contested as Bauman pokes his nose out down into Elf. Let's stay with this fight because I think Chris Bauman has decided that the laps are ticking away, and if he's going to get this podium position, he's got to do something now. Out and around Repsol. As the track heads back downhill here into Seat. This is all fallen well behind Matt Wood in second place. So unless one of the leaders has an issue, this is likely as high as either of these drivers will be able to go. Once again, there's that wide line. I mean, credit to Sanfilippo here, Steph. He's going to make it hard to outbrake him into the corner.
Yeah, most definitely, but that also runs a little bit of a risk if you're side by side and Sanfilippo continues to send it in like that. He might run that car on the outside a little bit out of room, or make himself vulnerable to a switcheroo. So I don't know how this would play out when Sanfilippo would be side by side with someone, because we haven't seen that yet. But most definitely very interesting strategy to just go a little bit deeper into that turn.
So we head back to 9th place. Timothy Reed being chased by both Plumlee and Toe. maybe this is what Jill needs, is if Plumley gets held up by Reed, that could finally give him a chance to maybe get them both, get some room. So watch them come around onto the front stretch. We know Jill won't be any good, but what about Plumley? He may be gain on Reed. It's a little too far back, it seems. Toe using the toe and just finding it is not good enough. I'm keeping half an eye on that and half an eye over here on the battle for third as well. There are going to be 2 to go pretty soon. Heading back to that battle for the podium. Ooh, Bauman's looking good here. Bauman's looking very good off of New Holland. What has he got? I think Sanfilippo feels threatened. He immediately goes over to the pit wall. Tries to cover off that inside line. Drifts a little bit back. Ooh, that was a little bit of a double move, but Bauman still isn't close enough. Got to pick that line and stick with it. Granted, they don't have stewards to try and enforce, because, well, there is, frankly, no actual iRacing rule for that, even though they are racing F1. So all's fair in love and war in this case, but, ooh, here comes traffic. Sanfilippo held up by Fraga, and then they've got Barry West in front of them. Rafael going to pull out of the way. That juke and jive is going to cause Bauman to think twice. Hopefully that won't come to blows between himself and Marco if they do get side by side. All this is happening well behind our leader, who's getting ready to take the white flag. Fernandez got this lead away, and he has not looked back since. It's 4.5 seconds to Matt Wood. There's a lapped car, Bartos, there, who is slow to the inside. Looks like he actually lost control of the car, so don't need a replay on it. Just spun by himself and got it going once again. So we stay with this third place battle. Sanfilippo only needs one more lap to try and claim a well-earned third place. The Italian certainly has been fighting hard. Bauman hailing from the Diach region. Coming down into Vert. They're coming up on some traffic. That's Bartos, who we were just mentioning a little bit earlier. Hopefully the 27 is aware of the situation behind. He's not pulling over. Now he's going to try and slow up, let them through. Good heads up there from him. With only a couple more corners to go, let's head over to our leader, Sergio Fernandez, out of Europe car and now out of New Holland. It's going to be our first new winner of the season in round 6. Fernandez wins in Spain, and Wood follows him into second. Not too far back, Sanfilippo takes third. How about the battle for fifth as well? Vascalampi and Toikala. They're coming up on some lap traffic, and Vascalampi thankfully isn't held up. He'll take a top 5 for that. Robert Plumley has managed to get by Timothy Reed when we weren't looking. We're keeping an eye on that battle for third. And Gilles Toe, what's he got? He's going to try and challenge as they come down to the braking for Lakaija. He's deep on it. If he can get ahead, the finish line stuff comes very, very quickly out of the final corner. He might actually be able to get this spot.
He might be able to, so it's going to be interesting. Gilles now got past Timothy Reed, but Timothy Reed probably going to try to challenge back now. into New Holland they go, but Team of 3 seems to be a little bit too far back for that 10th position, and sure enough, he lost it.
That gives 11th to Gilto. And that's going to be the last of our drivers on the lead lap because we've just got Parigi and Banker coming around, not in a battle. So we'll head to break here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews. Stick around because on screen you'll see all the upcoming races here on GSRC. Welcome back to Barcelona. We just had round 6 here in the Sunday Grand Prix series, and Sergio Fernandez was your winner. First time we've had someone win other than Gernot Frische. Matt Wood took second place, even though he started on the pole. So Matt will get some bonus points and certainly get good points over Gernot with that second place finish. But I think he won it a little bit more. Sanfilippo with a magnificent defensive drive to take third place over Chris Baumann, who started on the front row and wound up in fourth. Timo Vaskalampi, fifth to fifth for him, but still it was a good battle at the end with his fellow Finn, Sami Toikala, in sixth place. Tobias Rohner in P7 in the end with Pablo Suarez. A little bit of an anonymous race to give him eighth place. Robert Plumley with some fights eventually wound up in ninth, and Gilles Tau rounds out your top 10.
Jimmy Reed comes from 13th place to finish in 11th place. Alessandro Parigi with a great recovery drive. He started in 9th place, finishes only 12th place, but that doesn't really tell the story, with at one point being all the way down in 18th place. Daniel Banker, the last car on the lead lap, he himself gained 6 positions to finish in 13th place. Bartosz Nowacki, the first car 1 lap down, started in 14th. He finishes in 14th. Adnan Dishtarevich, after not qualifying, he gains himself 11 positions to finish in that 15th spot. Robert Simpkins, very much uneventful except for one spin, finds himself in 16th place in the results. 17th place goes to Luka Lecovic, who had a little bit of an interesting coming together with 2 other cars in Renault. Lance Simon, 18th place for him. Rafael Fraga, 19th, and running out to top 20 of this field. 2 laps down will be Bill Tyler.
Johnny Bell wound up in 21st with Barry West in 22nd. 4 laps down for Barry West with his repairs that he had to come in and get. Nicholas Morelli, 23rd, unfortunately, with a DNF. It looked like it was going to be better than that. Masson Pascal, Peter Koneski, and Remy Lalorne were our last of our fields, with Bertrand a DNS today. And looks like, fortunately, we're not joined by anyone here quite yet. We'll give it a second to see if anybody shows. Steph, we were talking about it during the break. This track, it seems any downforce car that you bring into the mix, it is just tough to try and overtake around here.
Well, yeah, because of the weird second and third section this track has, because you have that first long straight, then you have a long right-hand sweeper, which throws you into Repsol, which still is a rather fast corner for a medium speed, and then it's just slow after slow after slow, and that really doesn't open up any opportunities to be faster than someone else or to try and overtake them. All the passing will be done through La Caixa or through the first turn, which is Elf, because just of the weird characteristics this track has.
And it looks like that Urca has caught up with Sergio Fernandez down in pit lane after his victory. Urca, tell us, give us a little bit of an interview.
Hello, Sergio. How are you?
I'm a little bit tired.
Yeah, tell us about your race. You were leading like a lots of laps. Tell us about what you felt there.
Yeah, I knew I had a very good setup at the beginning of the race, but unfortunately, Matt had the pole, and the dirty air didn't let me be close enough to overtake him. So I thought I thought I wasn't going to be able to win. But I don't know what happened. At some point, maybe he made a mistake or something happened. I was very close, and I tried on the outside of I don't know what's the name of that corner, La Caixa maybe. And,
Yes.
and it worked. So after that, I had a very loosey setup. I didn't have a good time after that because there were a lot of traffic. There was my own car was very difficult to handle at the end of the race, so I didn't have a very good time at the end, but I won, and that's good. That's the first win.
Yes. Okay, it looks like you had your best lap in lap 25, so it was pretty much end of the race there.
Yeah.
How hard is to focus when you were like leading in like 5 seconds gap? Is it harder than if somebody's really chasing you?
For me, it's always been being in front, and I usually maybe I shouldn't say that, but I usually crack under pressure. It's difficult for me to handle it. When I'm behind, I find myself very more comfortable.
Yes. There's next week coming the Zandvoort. What you were thinking about that track?
I don't really like it very much. I don't hate it, but it's like standard. I don't know. I don't have very much to say about it.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Do you have anyone you want to thank here or something?
Since it's the first time I'm here, I would like to say to you that broadcast looks really nice from outside. When I show it some friends or family or something like that, they really like it, and I do as well. It looks very nice. So just to let you know. And well, yeah, to my team and people that help me every day with iRacing.
Okay. Thank you very much, and we see you on track in the next ones.
Yeah, bye bye, guys.
All right.
Yep, that was our first place finisher there, Sergio Fernandez with Urka Lindstrom. And we've got nobody else, so it looks like we're going to close it up for today. So big thank you goes out to the Lotus 79 community for bringing us back for another season of coverage. And also thank you to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go to June Lalonde to provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. And also thanks to the team today, Steph, Amjad, Dougie, and Urka. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Or our social media is Twitter is at GSR Channel, Facebook is Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram is GSRC_Graham. If you'd like to support the channel, check out our merchandise store. The link is in the description below. It's gsrc.storenv.com. Make sure and subscribe when you get the opportunity. We've got a big red button that says subscribe just below the video here on YouTube. As was mentioned by Urka, we've got our next race happening at Zandvoort over in the Netherlands. That'll be Sunday, January 26th, 11:30 a.m. Eastern. But we have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard, see you on the track.